What's going on, the Woodlands, Texas? Welcome to episode 82, season 5 of Talking Throws podcast, Texas style. I'm Coach Jason.
And I'm Coach Janelle.
And we are throws coach with the track club, the Thorn Factory. Go to the thornfactory.com website. We have some new information on there. If you want to go to our podcast information, there's a link that you can go to as well. There's a link for fourthrows.com. There's a link for Fiber Sports as well, and then a link for Porta Circle also. And then our bios are on there and our contact information. So remind everybody too that we're doing lessons. Coach Janelle's doing youth lessons right now. So if you're eighth grade and younger and you're looking to get a good foundation, reach out to her and she can get you going on the fundamentals to be a successful thrower through your junior high days. And hopefully that'll carry on to your high school days. And then Coach Kai west at the Thorn Factory, Coach Jarvis east at the Thorn Factory, and Coach Morgan Knight out in Abilene are doing a tremendous job with their training and their youth. If you're in one of those areas, reach out to them and they'll be able to get you going in some private lessons or maybe even join the club for summer track. Also, to remind everybody that we have that YouTube channel. So please go give us that thumbs up and follow along with that, because all of our podcasts that we do, all the episodes are actually published on there. So it's kind of another avenue that we're trying to promote. So the more the merrier on the YouTube channel. Without our sponsors, we can't do what we do. We appreciate everything they do, the loyalty they do for us, getting the word out there about the podcast. So that support has been tremendous. Leading off is Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. That website is ttfca.org for everything you need to know in track and field. Stuart Canner has the Winter Clinic coming up January 7th and 8th. That's going to be in Great Wolf Lodge in Grapevine, Texas. Right now, if you go to the calendar for 2023 for meet schedules, there's a youth meet January 15th at the University of Houston. There is a high school meet at the University of Houston on the 13th and 14th, the day before. There's currently 3 OU high school meets scheduled on October 28th, November 4th, and then November 11th as well. We're still waiting on a couple other meets to get posted. As once those happen, he'll get them up there. But even outdoor meets are posted. Even some of the college meets are posted. So if you're just a fan of track and field and want to go do a meet, all those college meets are on there as well. So second one is fourthrows.com. Quality implements priced right. Right now, if you go to fourthrows.com and use our code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off, right now on the closeout sale section, they are selling a training red iron shot put for $18.69. And then they also have a Palantic steel training hammer for $19, valued at $99.99. He is giving one away for $19. And use that code TalkingThrows10. You could get you a good training hammer for basically about $15. So go to fourthrows.com and use that code TalkingThrows10. Porta-Circle, making throwing more accessible. Use that code TalkingThrows10 to get your 10% off. The cool thing about these Porta Circle guys is you can put that circle down in a hotel a hallway, in a gym floor, in a school hallway, in a garage, in your room, to use for any training tools that you can to help you throw farther and get those reps in. And then Ready Up Athletic Development, Zach is doing some programming as well. So if you go to Train Heroic and you search basic throw strength, it is a program that he's designed for throwers, but also multi-sport athletes, whether you're playing basketball and volleyball or you're playing volleyball and track. This is a program to take your lifting and your performance to the next level. Again, that website is Train Heroic, and the website is called Basic Throw Strength. And if you use our code throws10 again on that website, you get 20% off on the purchase of that program. And then Fiber Sports Discus, looking at a new way to get the distance. Go to fibersportsdiscus.com. We love everything about Bruce Caldwell. What's the other one? So this is the 2K. So, and this is a really cool bag. And you can find this link, like I said initially, on our website, thethornfactory.com, or you can even go to thefourthrows.com and search that out as well. So use that code TalkingThrows10 and to get you the best discus in the market right now. So be on the lookout for that. So, all right, here we go. It is a true honor and a privilege to have this gentleman on our show. He is the epitome of why we do this show, because he is everything throwing basically in the state of Texas from a youth even through his college career. So we're going to play Guess Who That Is at the end. So currently he just turned pro. He had 2 meets in September. One, his first experience in the Diamond League, and then another meet basically 3 days later in Belgium. So in that first meet he went 2088, and in the second meet he went 2047. Just recently, he was a 2-time national champion at the University of Texas. He broke Ryan Krauser's school record in the shot put with a mark of 21.54, which is 70 feet 8 inches. He had college PRs of outdoor of 21.54, in the discus 52.95, but an indoor personal best, regardless of indoor outdoor, a 21.74. In 2017, he attended the Woodlands High School outside of Houston, Texas. He was a 4-time state champion. During his time there, he set a mark of 74.11 and a half, which ranks 3rd all time in the state of Texas in shot put, but also ranks 13th all time in the history of U.S. shot putting in boys high school. Also, as a high school thrower in 2017, throwing the 6 kilogram, which is an international shot put, he threw a mark of 68.3, which ranks 7th best all time. Yes, he was also 2018, got 2nd place at World U20 Championships. In 2015, 2016, he was the Gatorade male track and field athlete for the state of Texas. Yes, in 2015, he took gold in the World Youth 18 Championships. And it is a true honor and a true privilege to welcome this young man to Talking Throws Podcast Texas Style. Please welcome Tripp Piperi to our show.
Yeah.
So, dude, it is a big honor to have you on. We are very honored to get your story out. And you are why we do this, because you are Texas through from a youth through college. So we could talk to you for 5 hours. We're not going to do that. So when you have it enough, just wave your hands and we'll stop you.
Okay. I don't think I'll be doing all that.
We'll go from there. So Janelle will start us off, and we'll just kind of share your throwing story.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to reiterate what he said. We are super excited to have you and very honored to have you on. I'm so excited for all the things you're going to share with us. So first off, tell us, when did you start throwing? Where in your youth did you start picking up a shot put?
I started when I was 8.
You were 8.
Wow.
Some summer track at the age of 8.
Yeah. So me and one of the guys that I was at the bachelor party with, we all started when we were little. My dad used it as a way to get us in shape for football, I guess. And I didn't like running repeat 400s, so wanted to throw, which kind of backfired because I got good at it, and he'd just take me out before practice would start, and then we'd throw before track practice, and I'd still go out and run
afterwards.
Like 2 hours, yeah.
Oh wow! So were you playing football, Pee Wee football at that age as well?
Yeah, I played football from when I was 5 until halfway through high school, and then I just focused on track.
Oh wow! Wow.
Yeah.
So did you do a lot of summer track when you were 8, or just as a warm up before?
No, I did
football.
I did summer track. I did AAU and USATF. I did the Junior Olympics, all that, until I got to high school. And then I think my freshman year I did AAU or USATF, one of the two, one more time.
Okay.
Then sophomore year, I went to Cali and all that, so kind of just
Gotcha.
stopped doing all
before-
the junior Olympic stuff and started doing USATF World Team.
Gotcha. So was your dad your first coach that you had that first summer at 8 years old? Was he kind of watching you, in your development?
Yeah, he's the one who took me to practice, got me, he worked me out, everything. He did all that for a while until, you probably know Coach Rod out in, I think it's Sugarland, or know of him. He's got a few people that have had some good success.
Gerald Rod?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I trained with him. I threw with him. He started helping when I first started spinning, as well as my high school coach, which if there's anyone you should talk to, it's my high school coach. He was amazing.
Wow.
Really,
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, no, you're good.
I was going to ask because I'm intrigued now. I had no idea there was a Coach Rod connection. So was Coach Rod kind of laid the foundation for your beginning of rotational?
Yeah, him and my high school coach. Yeah, they both gave me tips. I started when I was in junior high, so I think I started 7th grade. I started messing with it. In 8th grade was when I really actually started spinning.
Okay,
it's kind of interesting. Everybody asked me why I always foul in my practice throw videos. I'm just like, because I don't do that anymore. Like I don't work on it. But that's all due to at the beginning you work on that so much. But he was great. That was a really cool time. I think if you know Brody Gowing and Cooper Campbell threw with them, and David Ruth and his little brother and my little brother. A lot of people actually made it a point to go out to him in the Houston area.
Well, what was so unique about his coaching that you kind of grasped onto that at such an early age, if you don't mind me asking?
I think he just did a good job at teaching, younger kids and younger teenagers how to actually properly spin. I think he had a kid that threw collegiately, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what school he went to, but he had a good grasp at just kind of dealing with that. Not a lot of people are able to do that, even at the later into high school. A lot of high school coaches can't. So he had a good grip on everybody that wanted to kind of do it. In the Houston area, people would go to him for a while, and then I only stopped when I started going to high school.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That's a good drive from the Woodlands to the Sugarland. How many days a week were you making that drive?
Oh, I gotta think about that.
That's a while ago.
Probably, twice a week.
Twice a week.
But it's not, Houston's so big. 45 minutes isn't really much. So
yeah.
I used to go to I did so much when I was younger. We'd go to we go to Humble and go to that Athletic Republic out there, which who is it that's running it now? It's not called Athletic Republic anymore. I know the guy's name. He was a football player, and he's got a bunch of sons that Atascocita have gone on to play in college.
Okay.
But he runs that, and we used to go there and do cardio stuff and speed work there, and so we were very used to driving out of the way.
Sure.
I used to I also trained with Dalton Larone a little bit when he was in college. That was when I was younger. And then also somebody else, I gotta think. Jacob Thormalen.
Oh, okay.
I went and trained with him a few times. We'd drive out to Austin for a day, but my aunt lives here, so we'd just stay the night. But so we go out there.
Dude, you had every avenue to go out and be successful.
That's lucky. It's really just due to my parents. They, helped me out. Knew that I liked it, so.
Now, did your mom, dad, were they college athletes? What's kind of their background?
So my mom was not a collegiate athlete. She did the drill team at her high school, and then my dad, he walked onto the football team at U of H, and he ended up quitting after freshman year just because he wanted to focus on school.
Gotcha.
He was working and all that, so it just made more sense for him to stop. But he played football throughout high school, and he was athletic, and my mom was good at what she did, so she was also athletic. Kind of just happened to come together that way.
Gotcha. Now, was your brother making those trips, because he's a thrower as well, and
yes.
He's currently still at UT? Was he making those trips with you to Coach Rod?
Oh yeah, we went together every single time. He actually went to Rod longer than I did. I think because once I started high school, it didn't really make sense for me to go there anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Woodlands high school coach, when I was there, he was a great coach, and he had a lot. He'd always have people at the state meet.
Gotcha.
And we
And
also
that was,
Hang on before you
go ahead. I'm
before
sorry.
he moves on to high school. What was your PR when you were 8 years old in the shot put? Do
Oh.
you know? Or a middle school PR?
I
Do you have
mean,
any
in
idea
high,
how
and when
far
I was
you were-
8, we threw like the 4-pound, and it was probably like
Yeah.
24, 25 feet or something. It was something, we were just a kid. But another
Yeah.
cool thing was when I was also younger, I think 7th and 8th or 8th grade, we traveled out to Athens, Georgia, and did the Adam Nelson and Reese Hoffa camp.
Oh,
And
really?
I actually did Adam Nelson's camp twice. So I have a good connection with him now. I don't talk to him as much as I should. But him and Reese have been great, mentors, and they're always willing to pick up the phone and talk. And
Oh,
they're
that's
always looking to
awesome.
give out advice. And it's really been helpful to have somebody that's been there and talk to, and
Yeah.
it's not still competing. That's always kind of a big thing I think some people don't understand is, oh, you get to talk to all these, older throwers, and they get to kind of show you through the ropes and all that. And what they do, but at the same time, it's kind of that double-edged sword for them. They can't really help me too much. And also at the end of the day, I still want to beat them really bad. And,
Yeah.
but they've always been very helpful, and they know who they are. The last few months was tough, and it went
Yeah.
well for me, but they knew it was also really cool meeting everybody and getting to talk to all the pros and creating
Travel like
relationships that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, quick question about Adam Nelson. And I know his mental approach before every throw. Is that where you kind of stole that from, or develop your own, and the screaming and the emotion of getting into that ring and just letting it out?
Yeah, he did help that. Him and Reese, because they made it pretty apparent if you want to do good at this, you're not going to be making what a football player makes. If you want to get the attention, you gotta bring it to yourself.
Oh, there you go. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
yell
I
for
like
money.
I mean, but I mean, other than that, it is making it more fun. I think when I got to college, I'd done some in high school, but when I really got to college, I kind of turned it into my own.
Gotcha.
So now
That's
it's
awesome.
I'm trying to just be a psychopath, but
Understand. We'll get into that. So your high school coach, Gary Mador, is that it?
yep, Gary Mador.
So what was how did y'all cross paths? How was that first interaction? And how did you develop such a strong relationship with your high school coach, and developing into a world-class thrower so young?
So me and his son are the same, or me and his youngest son are the same age. So we actually grew up playing Little League football. And
Okay.
so my dad, he knows how to ask questions, sometimes to a fault, but
Oh.
he would always, he'd always let Gary know, or Coach Mador know, that I was going to throw in high school and all this stuff when we were younger. And once I started getting older, he kind of made it a point to at least introduce me and stuff. So I did end up, I went to high school and we had already had a good few interactions. So at that point, I don't know, it's just a high school coach. I think everybody goes in, you get who you get, but I was just lucky. And at that point, because I was doing well and I respected him so much, and I still do I respect him so much. And at the time I definitely did.
Yeah.
It kind of just worked out.
Yeah. Very fortunate because,
really
because most of your high school coaches, how do I say this politically correct? Because I don't want to make anybody bad. They don't really care that much about throwing. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
most don't, and that's fine. They're going to focus on what they want to focus on. But I was very lucky, and I still talk to him, very frequently. And I try to go see him when I go back home, or if he's up around where I am, I try to make it a point to say hello.
Is he still coaching?
No, he actually a couple years ago, he ended up he got a promotion at the school and decided to step away. So, which is fine.
Okay.
I'm actually very happy for him. He's a lot less stressed with not dealing with coaching stuff, and he's probably making more money too. So that's a little nicer.
Now, was he a thrower as well? I know there was a connection with his kids, but was he a background? Did he have, throwing rotation or anything like that?
If I'm not wrong, and Gary, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost certain he threw a little bit in college. I don't know if he did all years. I think he did. I know Hunter went to A&M and he threw, I think, 3 years before he had an issue with his hand and his wrist.
Okay.
And that ended up taking him out, which is unfortunate, but he had a good time while he was there and he ended up getting a good education.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but he did throw in college. I think it was somewhere northeast, because he's
Okay.
from New York. But yeah, he did throw in college, and he's very passionate about it. He follows it all the time. I remember we went to in high school, he'd make the trip out to the USA Nationals to make it on the world teams.
Uh-huh.
And I think one time it was during USA's in California. It was in Sacramento. So I don't know if y'all have gotten to see that track. It's actually a pretty cool setup. But we ended up watching, the pros that day, and he was so excited to meet Art Venegas.
Oh, really?
That was pretty cool. So that's always a fun thing to see. And
I have a
I was
question.
so
So
young. I was like, oh, who's this guy? But
Yeah.
did he just coach track, or was he a football track coach that just was real passionate about throwing?
he coached football as well.
Okay.
It is Texas high school. You got to coach football.
I figured, but I thought, I mean, as interested he was in throwing, it made me think, well, maybe he was one of those rare just track coaches.
Yeah, no, he did coach football, and that was cool. He was a good I think he was a good linebacker coach.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, and, our team was really good as well, especially my senior year. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's cool seeing that.
You go into your freshman year, kind of, I don't want to say maybe people didn't know necessarily who you were. Some people probably did, but you go and throw 60 feet your freshman year and have a great season. Do you remember that transition? Because that was a transition from that light shot put to that 12-pound.
Yeah.
And what was that transition like?
I don't remember the transition as much. I think in high school, comparing that to transition to college is I wouldn't say easier, but you're not grown up. And when you are grown up, the diminishing returns is real.
Uh-huh.
But going into that freshman year, it was kind of like a cool thing of, okay, I get to beat all these older kids if I do well. And then so I ended up doing well at districts. I got second. I did well at area. I got to regionals, and he was like, okay, we're just going to try to throw far. And I was like, well, we could probably make it. And
Yeah.
and he was like, you can, but it's going to be really hard. And then I ended up making it. I threw 58 feet at that meet on my last throw, but I'd already made it. So I think I PR'd by 3 or 4 feet that day,
Wow.
and ended up getting second. It was really cool. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And that was a really fun time.
As a freshman.
Yeah.
And
Now at that time, I have to ask a technical question. Was
Yeah.
that where that long rotational leg pickup that was real quick, that long leg rotation and that linear entry into the center, was that developed then that early, or is that just something you've kind of picked up through the years?
I'd have to look at a video. I don't think that was at all as developed.
Okay.
My later high school videos, it starts getting better, especially getting wider out of the back. But at that point, it wasn't nearly as good as it was by the end of my high school career, and it is obviously now.
Yeah.
I just remember in that meet, like before I threw far, I was like, okay, I'm just going to focus on where I'm landing my feet in the ring and just push as hard as I can. And so I kind of vividly remember exactly what I thought about mentally before going into that throw. So that was really cool. And I still actually want to do that now.
So, and that was a great segue. So do you kind of mentally picture your movement and the throw mentally and you just try to duplicate what your brain sees, mental images?
Yeah, I'm very visual. So I'll actually, especially when I was injured and during the ice storm of Austin, which was hilarious. And all that, I'd go and, sometimes I'll just kind of meditate and kind of build the throw in my head. If I'm having like a rough few weeks and I can't figure it out, I'll make sure that I can kind of do it mentally. And it's kind of funny for me. Sometimes I'll be just doing it wrong in my head. I'm like, why can't I fix this even in my head? So, it's an interesting concept of it's kind of strange. You would think that like you'd be able to do it perfect every time in your head, but you can't. So sometimes you have mental blocks and you got to kind of work through that. It just makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But I like to do it, and I know some other people do, but not everybody thinks the same. So if you're out there and you want to try it, go ahead.
Yeah. Are you a note taker? Because I know talking with like Krauser and stuff, he kind of keeps a diary and talking with some of our guests, they kind of chronic everything that kind of goes on practice meets. Do you do that?
So I've started this year. I've done it before in the past and not gone into it. I've always had my workout sheets in college and written down what I do. But now I'm trying to take a more active approach towards it just because I have more time and I'm not in school anymore. It's a lot easier to kind of really buckle down and focus on what's important. So I think that's going to help me a lot. So if I get used to doing it, I'll be able to go back and see, I've written down what factors go into that day, like how much sleep I got, all of that good stuff. So that'll kind of be I'm going to see how that goes for me for the next few months.
Nice. So I have to move back to your high school. No, so I know we're going to be all over the place. Dude, you've numerous state championships. You threw 74-11. Two things I want to know. Just, did you ever think almost about how much it could break the national record, Michael Carter's 81-8, but then also the fact of, you had the opportunity at an early age to really throw at a high level. So did you think about maybe throwing at the Olympics when you were a freshman and going to state and breaking 60 feet? Did you say, man, because kids have aspirations to be a professional football at their freshman year.
Yeah.
Did you have those aspirations to be like, man, I could go to the Olympics?
Yeah. Once I started doing really well, I kind of figured it would kind of be my ticket and I could do it. I've always wanted to do well, but that freshman year kind of made it real, if that makes sense. Then really the sophomore year going to Cali and doing well, that made it more apparent. So those kind of 2 years were really kind of the hammer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So how did you juggle doing the discus as well?
In high school I was good. In college I wasn't.
Did he win state in the discus, Tinny? Did you ever win state in discus?
Yeah, your sophomore.
I did. My sophomore year I did.
Yeah.
I got third, then I got second.
Okay.
And it was cool. I just got to college, and especially my freshman year, I didn't try at it that hard. And I just kind of, by that point, I'd fallen into, especially by my sophomore year, I'd kind of just fallen into, I want to do shot. I still did discs to get points at conference and all that. But they're kind of laughable numbers now. They're not very good.
We were talking earlier, kind of prepping for this. She goes, well, what was his PR in hammer? Did he ever do any hammer? So we have to ask, did you ever try the hammer?
No hammer.
I got a video of me falling trying to do weight. Yeah. Actually, my freshman year I almost did weight. I had one practice where I threw it like a solid 17, 18 meters. Something like that, which would have been, it wouldn't have done anything. It would have gotten I would have gotten points at conference. But, that lasted for about 2 weeks before we were like, yeah, that's not really worth trying to work on.
No, really working on.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, good. So so getting back to breaking that record, did you kind of, when you started getting around that 70, 74, 75, were you looking at maybe 81 and saying, man, I have a shot at this?
I think by that point, I wanted to, obviously I always wanted to, looking back at it now, that'd have been so ridiculous. I'm sure you all have heard a lot about it and all of that. 81 feet's ridiculous in any way, shape or form. So
yeah,
it'd have been cool, but I threw far enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Now I'm at the point where let's try to push up to those bigger numbers.
Yeah. Have you ever had a chance to talk with Michael Carter, about his high school career and kind of his process, and maybe say my process as a high school thrower was sort of like his? Have you spoke?
I've talked to him, I think a few times. I've talked to Michelle more.
Okay.
She's actually also been very helpful with a few situations. But Michael, I didn't talk to him as much.
Gotcha.
By the time he was out there at high school, I'd always say hello to him. I have a picture with him and stuff, but he was a little more soft spoken, and he wasn't ever, at least with us, he wasn't as talkative, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think he was more interested in what he was doing. I think he was coaching his nephew at the time, and
Yeah. So did you ever get the tape measure out and pull it all the way out to 81 feet, and you're like, holy shit?
Our high school pit actually is built out to 82 feet, so I've seen it every day.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
You had the visual.
There you go.
I know how far it is. It's a big
There
one.
you go. So I want to know this because we don't know the answer, and I'm just kind of curious. So, the world meets the U18s, the U20s is kind of a, out of the U.S. kind of meet, so to speak, more sanctioned. U.S. doesn't really put a lot of effort into those type of meets. Where did the idea of you starting getting involved that early as a youth into those meets, and how did that come about? How did you qualify for that U18 and turn around and go for the U20, especially when you're almost kind of in your high school season as well?
So USATF has a junior and youth meet, and it's to qualify for that. So youth one is pretty small. It's like right before Hershey, or the Hershey one every year.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get on that team, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes into it. So you got to get ready. The youth one, we had a 2-week camp in America, and then we flew to Cali for 2 weeks. So we were gone for a month.
Oh, wow.
That was so fun. That was such a good time, and they always cared for us. But then juniors came around, they had USA Junior or USATF Junior meet, or the junior national meet, and so we do that, and that's the one that a lot of people know more of now. So that's a little easier to find, and it's actually sorry, it's marketed a little better than the youth one. So a lot more people go to it, and then also there's a few college freshmen that'll get into that. And my dad, he must have just seen a post, or he just heard about it, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to this meet and see if you can go." And I was like, "Cool." So, because we were used to traveling every summer for the Junior Olympics since I was 8, so we were always kind of expecting to travel in the summer for track.
Gotcha. That was the first time you actually were putting on the USA and I'm representing my country in this event, right?
Yeah, in 2016.
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah. What do you remember putting that uniform on and what that experience was like?
I remember getting the whole kit when I was in Chicago at the training camp, and it was awesome. There were about 50 of us. We were like, "Oh my God, we just got a whole bunch of gear." And so that was really cool.
Yeah, the Nike check and all this type. Do you still have the uniform and all the warm-up suit and all that?
Yeah, it's somewhere. That one specifically, yeah, it's back at home.
Back at home.
I think I've done a better job at keeping credentials and stuff. But I've got all the bibs, especially in my room still. And then this is the one from Worlds. It's just on the floor.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So with that track uniform probably wouldn't fit, would it? If you went
back. He's skinny.
It might.
He's skinny.
It probably, I don't know. You know how Nike is. They don't really fit.
Yeah, they might not. So,
but I've got it. I've got the jersey at least somewhere. Yeah, I'm sure I have the medal and all that. And my mom was like, "Oh, we're gonna frame it and put it in a shadow box or whatever." And I was like, "Okay, put the jersey in there or something."
Yeah.
It's been years. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I know where it is.
I haven't seen the shadow box yet. So
she's working on it.
Two more high school questions.
She's got much more important things to worry about.
Well, you have a little sister too.
Yeah, she just got to Texas actually. So she was at the OU Texas game last week.
So nice. Cool. So she's a freshman?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. Not a thrower?
No.
Okay.
She's a dancer, right?
Yeah, she did our dance team at Texas.
Oh,
okay, nice.
Or not at Texas, sorry, at the Woodlands. She's being a student here.
Hi, my name is Meredith McGee, and my father is the founder of Porta Circle. We created Porta Circle in order to make throwing more accessible so that you can truly train anywhere. Growing up in Rochester, weather was often a roadblock toward training, and having the Porta Circle was a lifesaver for both the indoor and outdoor season. Circles start at $149 and go to our website to learn more. www.porta-circle.com. Porta Circle, making training convenient.
Gotcha. So out of the marks and the meets that you won during your high school career, is there one that you're most proud of? Is because you wore four state championships, you threw really, really far, the third best mark in Texas high school history. Is there something that you're proud of that you want to share that we might be surprised about during your high school career?
Other than Cali and my freshman year, Cali was
Yeah.
really cool. Freshman year was insane at state and getting third. That was probably or really regionals in that one really stand out in my mind well. And so does Cali, obviously, because that
Okay.
was such a huge ordeal. And I can get into the story of that meet too. But other than that, and other than this, I mean, the state meets are obvious, I guess. But really, other than that, New Balance Outdoors my junior year, when it was
Yeah.
me, Bronson, and Jordan, that was crazy. So that was a really cool meet to win. And it was really exciting, and I had a great time, and we all threw really well. I think 3 of us went over 70, and we were going
Yeah.
back and forth the whole time. So that was a great meet.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Oh, so I have some more high school questions before you move on.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry,
so-
Tripp. She runs the show.
I
Hey,
really-
you're good.
So did you continue to play football all through high school, or did you? I know you said you knew you wanted to throw.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, did you keep playing football?
No, I stopped after my sophomore year. So after I called them when I was in Cali, and I was like, "Hey, I'm done."
Really?
They weren't very happy about that.
Now, were you a guard, right?
Yeah, I didn't enjoy playing guard. I'd rather have played. If I had played defensive line, I probably would have kept playing and just to play. I wouldn't have done it in college. I don't think personally I would have been a bit tall enough.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't have gone to Texas, that's for sure. So, yeah, that was, I was done with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I look back and I'm like, I could have probably done well doing this, but not this good.
Yeah, not this good. Yeah.
Well, you could have been
Not this
you
good.
could have been the first professional football player thrower. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, Michael did it, but they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, too
That's
tough
true.
on the
They don't do
body.
that anymore.
So,
And before we jump into your college career and stuff, so looking back at your high school career when you chose to just be a thrower,
Yeah.
what advice would you have for any kids? You know, we have a lot of kids who still do both, and we encourage the multi-sport. You know, do you like say, hey, at what point do you single this out and say, I'm just going to do this? Do you have any advice for anybody or?
I
guidance.
mean, most important of all of this is to enjoy it. So if you're enjoying doing more than one sport, then keep doing it. There's no real reason not to. In high school, you're so resilient, and you can keep doing all that stuff. I mean, there's probably a few situations that I didn't, experience where, maybe it makes a lot more sense for you to stop. But in most situations, especially since one's in the fall and one's in the spring, it doesn't really hurt to just keep being active. You might as well. Because even in the fall, that next year, my junior year, my senior year, I was still in the track class and I was still working out every single day. So I think the only thing that really changed was I didn't have to do football.
Gotcha. No, I lied. Another high school question. So your freshman and sophomore year, throwing was a big part of your life. So during football seasons, did y'all throw on Saturdays and Sundays? Did you kind of throw year round where that was your preparation?
I wouldn't start throwing till at least like November.
Okay.
And then obviously that changed in college. But
Yeah.
a lot of it, I think my first 2 years when I was doing football, I didn't start till maybe even January. Or no,
Okay.
it's not true. It had to have been December. But it wasn't anything intense because it depends on whenever New Balance indoors would be held.
Yeah,
I'd
March.
start, I had to start at least a month before that.
Gotcha.
I don't remember the whole timeline, but it wasn't nearly as early as it is now, but it also wasn't like, oh, it's track season, you need to start throwing. It was definitely earlier. I think there were a few times where I started in November, definitely when I was out of football.
Yeah. We just had conversations with other guests where people would suggest people don't throw enough. And so the one reason that made them successful is during football season or even volleyball season, they would go out with their parents on Saturdays or Sundays and get throws in.
Yeah.
So when they would come into their meets or indoor meets, January, February, or get ready for the outdoor seasons, they were not peaking, but they were prepared because they got the reps in. So I was just wondering if kind of what your approach was during that time.
I mean, I always took it earlier, but I mean, I was much more serious than most people were at the time. And
Yeah.
probably are now.
Yeah,
For sure.
which leads me to my question I was going to ask too. And it's another high school question because I
We're
teach.
going to dwell in the
That's
past.
important.
No,
It's
it's just
important.
I know there are going to be a lot of we have a lot of high school kids and who can kind of connect with you because you're younger, a little closer to what they
Yeah,
are as
yeah.
you're moving up in your career. And so, what sacrifices do you feel like you made as a high school athlete? 4-time state champion, knowing that you were going to throw in college and have those aspirations. What were some things that you? I don't want to say didn't do, but you know what I mean? Like kids have to make sacrifices to be successful.
I mean,
You didn't just show up to track practice, probably like your buddies and throw a few times and leave. I mean,
yeah.
what things you may have done?
So it really kind of goes down to what you value. And if you value doing this in a legitimate level, then you're going to have to, really sacrifice your time. That's kind of the biggest one. And if you wanted to be as strict as I am now about it, you could, but you're not going to enjoy high school. And I think there is a big level of understanding there. You need to still have fun while you're young. So still go out and, I mean, I'm not telling you to go sneak out and do stupid stuff, but
Yeah, I
maybe
gotcha.
experience it once.
Go to prom.
But I mean, don't go get arrested. Don't do stupid things. But
Yeah.
have fun with your friends. Still do stuff like that. But then during the week you shouldn't be doing that stuff anyway, even if you are in school. So maybe focus up, spend the extra days working out. I think I worked out 5 days a week, which or maybe even every day of the week sometimes, which now looks stupid. But I'd go every single night after school. I'd go and so my days were I'd have school in the morning. In the middle of the day we'd have the track class, so I would run and do stuff then, and then after school we'd throw, and then after that I'd go and work out at Cisco's, which is the trainer I went to in the Midlands. So I was putting in hours, and I had a lot of friends that wanted to do it too. So, or not just in track, but like a good friend of mine, Zach Lone, he'd go to the same place with me, and he was there every day with me. So I don't recommend going to like a 24-hour fitness as much as I do if your parents can afford it, you can spare the time to go find a good trainer. I'd say that's kind of the biggest sacrifice there is invest. If you want to be good, you need to invest into it. So trying to work out on your own with no help, not looking things up, not putting at least a little bit of money towards it. And I don't like saying that because it's in high school, and you should realistically, every single high school, especially in Texas, has a weight room, and you can go train there. They'll have their hours, but you can always train there after school. And if you have a good group of friends that want to go with you, sacrifice your time and go work out with them.
Awesome.
Me, it was just a little bit different. I'd go train with Cisco, and our friends would be there, and it wasn't that expensive, and we had a good time. And I think I did that my sophomore, junior, and senior year. I was there every single day. So, you need also another one is definitely do treatment, but you're in high school, you're resilient, you'll be fine. You'll learn that if you go to college, that becomes very important. But I mean, really, it's like you need to, there's always a balance, but at the same time, if you want to go to college and do this, you have to kind of dedicate yourself at a higher level than most kids would. And that goes for really any sport. A lot of kids in every single D1 school, there's a lot of kids on the team that aren't really spectacular, but they just worked harder than everyone else. That's why they got it.
Yeah.
So if you put it, it's really just a work thing. Don't do it if you're not having fun. That's really a big part. I probably should have said that first. If you don't enjoy it, there's no point in trying to do it in college because it only takes up more of your time and gets harder. But if you do and you want to be good, you're going to have to sacrifice that. You can't just get good overnight. I think that's nobody ever told me that except for my dad. And you're always going to have your mentors in your life that I don't want to say it's some things because not everybody's situation is different. But like for me, it was like my dad cared about what I did, and my trainer and the people that I met through the sport cared about how good I did. So they pushed me to do better, and they pushed me to work harder, and they pushed me to put more time into it.
Wow. And it takes a village.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And I had a lot of friends that I met through the sport that, I mean, it's not even just throwing. Like, so I was lucky enough, obviously, to go to those international meets and meet a lot of people. And, I have friends here, if you follow Texas track and field at all, Jonathan Jones and Brian Herron, they're some of my closest friends from the team. EJ, the coach's son, he's now training professionally. We've always been really close. None of them are throwers, but we still push each other. I still go watch them run. I still go watch them practice. They'll come up and, support me in what I do. and it's nice to always have that, support. So you're going to find it in many, many different ways. And I could go on forever about, how many people have helped and how many facets and things I've noticed over the years that I've decided to put value on, but it really kind of just starts with you.
Gotcha.
That's
Great.
awesome.
Great,
Yeah, no,
great
that's
answer.
good. That's
Great
good.
answer. Great answer. So we graduated high school.
I don't know. I can.
No.
I can tell you all about every single meet.
Yeah.
I can pick his high school brain forever.
Well,
but
yeah.
we're going to get into your recruiting. So
Okay.
you chose Texas.
Yeah.
And at that time, Mario Satega was, I'm guessing, recruited you to Texas, right?
Yeah. So my story is a little different on that one.
Please share.
I
We want to know your
definitely,
5 choices and how you wound up to Texas.
I definitely committed junior year with only 2 choices.
Oh, okay.
It was Texas or Georgia. And I went to Texas and Mario was like, we will give you this if you verbally commit. And I was like, cool. And I went to Georgia and they didn't do that. And so I was like, I do like Texas. I've always liked Texas. My mom went there and I was like, it's, everything in that city. Athens is actually really cool too. So for me, I wanted to be closer to home, which was actually nice. I could have gone to Georgia and been happy, but I'm happy I stayed here now.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, but really everything, the amount of, tools that Texas is able to provide, it really made it easy. And I just always I idolized Texas, that and U of H. U of H, if I didn't do sports, I would have gone to Houston in a heartbeat. My dad knows that. But it really was kind of just an easy no-brainer choice for me personally.
Okay.
And I know that's not the answer that y'all probably wanted to give high school kids that are dealing with, especially the top tier people out there that are
different.
Well, I'm kind of curious, not to interrupt,
that
but
are
I'm
out
kind of
here
curious.
dealing with going on 5 or 6 visits in their senior year. Yeah, I can give you advice on that though, but I'll give it to you from the perspective of a college athlete. And this honestly is very important because we've had instances where people don't get this. When you go on a visit to a college, you are not picking the college. That's not 100% of the reason you're going there. It is 50% you choosing the college, and it's 50% the college choosing you.
Great
You
point.
go there and you make an ass of yourself in the first 30 minutes, which has happened before. We will look at each other and be like, he is not coming here. Do not offer him. So you need to look at that too. Like, you need to make a good impression on people and don't stress about it. Still be yourself, because you want to be able to connect with the team in the way that you want to connect with them. But some kids just get there and it's not the fit.
Yeah.
Also, that another thing, and everybody's situation is different. Try to get to a position where you're comfortable being away from home. So when I say that in a way of don't go somewhere because it's right next to home and you want to see your parents every weekend. And again, I didn't value that as much as some people do. So this is really coming from my position, but you do have to find a way to detach yourself and grow up, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And then also, probably actually the biggest thing, can't believe I almost forgot this. Coaches in college leave. They leave all the time. Nobody's job is stable in college if you're a college coach, no matter how good you are or what you think they are. Make sure you're going to a college because you like being there and you value the education and you want to study something there. Don't go there because of a coach. It happens probably 60% of the time where a kid gets to a college and the coach leaves and they're like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And they just go to the transfer portal and then they can't find it. And then, next thing you know, they're a junior. They've been at 3 schools, which some people it works for. Again, everyone's situation is different.
Yeah.
But you need to, you have so much control over the situation as a senior in high school. Make sure for me, the things that I made sure that I wanted in a school was, number one, location. I like Austin. It's cool. It's in Texas. I love Texas. Education is extremely important. So those are really kind of hand in hand there. And then it was track, after being like, okay, I'm closer to family. That's a cool plus. Then it's track.
Okay.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Well, that scenario kind of happened to you. You were recruited by Mario, then all of a sudden you're there your freshman year and he's let go, right?
Yep.
And he was not only was he the head coach, he was your throws coach, right?
if you buy in, so Mario wasn't my throws coach, actually. He was the head coach.
Oh,
It
okay.
was Ty Saban. He
Ty
coached the
Saban was,
training,
okay.
yeah. But I almost did transfer, actually. There was a part of me that was like, okay, I could go to Georgia and have fun, or I could go to Arizona State and do this or that. But I kind of trust, the CDC came in, he fired our coaching staff, which at the time made sense. Well, looking back at it now, it made sense on why that happened. I don't need to go into detail about that.
You don't need to.
But I found out Flo got hired, which is the head coach now, and he called me and he gave me assurance. He's like, we're going to hire a throws coach and you're going to be fine. And I was like, okay, you got it. And so I just kind of give it a chance. And, if that does happen, there is always that option, no matter what. If you love the school so much, you're always going to think about it. There's always going to be there. There's always going to be the option. You can't just be like, oh, I'm buckling down here no matter what. Nobody is like that.
Gotcha.
Nobody just sits there. Everybody hedges their bets. So again, pick the school you want to be at, not the coach you want to train with. Because another part of it is you go there and you end up not buying into his program, you're not going to do good anyway. You got to also really buy in, trust the coach, trust what he tells you, and make sure that you can, because all it's going to do is build confidence in yourself. If you can trust your coach that he can get you out of holes in the meat, then you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to have more confidence in yourself. So that's another big part of it. But that's, again, I could talk about this for hours.
All right. No, that's awesome.
So when he told you that he's going to get you a throws coach, and it's announced that Zeb Zion's going to be your throws coach, were you familiar with Zeb? Did you have
I was.
Oh, okay. Let's hear this.
So it, like indoors
showing up. And
yeah. So I'm kind of pardon my French, a shithead. And at indoors, I'd like seen him and I shook hands and said hello and stuff. And I'm about to throw my first throw in the meet. I looked at him and winked before I threw. And so
there you go.
I'd always known who he was. And obviously came here. We have a great relationship now. But so that was kind of funny. I remember Flo actually told me, he's like, have you heard what do you think about Zeb Zion? And I was like, I don't think he'll leave Sanford, but you can try. And I kind of just brushed it off. I was like, there's no way he's getting this guy to coach here. And then next thing you know, he's our coach. And I was like, oh, this is great. I'm super excited. So I'm, very blessed in that situation. I got very lucky, and some people don't, but yeah. So that was kind of a great transition into it.
So what was that first meeting of y'all two really kind of sitting down and he kind of telling you his coaching perspective of what maybe you need to work on in development, but then also, just like you said, of you buying in to a new voice and a new perspective in your development?
Well, he's very hands-on. And when he first got here, he made that very clear. He's like, I'm going to watch everything you do. I'm going to pay attention to all your lifts. I'm going to write all your workouts, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool. Just tell me what to do. I like the structure. I've always liked structure. So when somebody is like, I'm just going to lay this out for you and you can do it, I'm like, cool, say less.
Yeah.
But he's very, very, very in-depth. And I think that's helped a lot. We never absolutely tore down my form and built from the ground up. That was never going to be the situation. It was, I was already throwing 20-40 as a freshman, and it's like, you don't go there and destroy it, but he did a really, really good job at enhancing the things that I needed to change fixing the things I needed to change and enhancing what worked. So now, my form is much different now. We fixed so many things, especially this last year. This last year was insane. After I got injured, coming back, completely redoing myself and coming back from the injury in the way that I did, it was all really thanks to what we worked on in the ring and really, really, really focusing and hammering down on form. Like just basically shedding everything and be like, we're not going to worry about anything until we get this down. And so that, I was a little bit weaker this year. I was definitely smaller, and I still threw, very consistently at about where I was when I got hurt. So
yeah.
It really worked out.
Was that his suggestion for you to lose weight your last year?
So
to
that
take
was
pressure off the ankle?
Yeah, once I finished at trials or at the Olympic trials, it was like, okay, you're not going to touch a weight for 2 months, and you're going to go and, get in shape and let's get comfortable. Because by that time it was like, I was like 320 or something, and it was not comfortable being that heavy. And I was like, I don't want to be this big right now, or really ever. we'll see how that changes throughout my career. But it just made more sense to kind of just basically, like we call it, we're just going to recreate a base.
Okay.
So this year is really going to be kind of this year. I'm very excited because I just started training last week. So I'm doing still fitness lifts. I'm not doing actual lifting right now.
Yeah.
Or I'm lifting, but I'm not doing actual, like I'm not putting bar plates on my back and just going.
Yeah.
Like I'm very excited to get into that to see how much farther I am from last year, because my ankle, obviously, you don't do anything you don't squat for 2 months or anything, you're going to take a huge hit in that. So I'm excited to see how much last year's going to carry over and really kind of propel this next season.
Wow. Can we talk a little bit about that injury? Because that was a fluke thing, and I don't know if you know anything about me, but I had aspirations of having a pro career and doing this, and I broke my ankle almost in kind of the same situation that you did, but I never got it fixed until to this day. 25 years later, it still bothers the shit out of me, and she could validate that.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, what that happens to you, kind of walk us through your mental aspects, because it's my understanding that, dude, you just kind of flipped the switch and was like rehab 24/7, and you were going to overcome and persevere through this adversity.
And obviously it's a little different because I was in college, and not just any college. I was at University of Texas. It's huge. So they were able to spend the money on getting it fixed and really buckling down. But I was like, the Olympic trials are this year. It's like, this is all I care about. So I need to make sure that I get healthy enough to at least go there and try. So that was kind of the goal there. But also, as much as I didn't want to at the time, they say surgery, and this really goes for any sport, especially when you're in college. I mean, really even in high school, but again, that's a situational thing. If you can afford surgery, you do it. Like if a professional doctor is telling you that you need to get this fixed this way, they're probably not wrong. It's very rare that a doctor is desperately wrong.
Yeah.
So, and obviously at the University of Texas, we have, doctors in town that only work on the athletes. So I go there and the guy's like, listen, you could sit here and not get this, you could not have surgery, not get it fixed. It'll be the same recovery time, except it may not ever get better. I'm like, as much as I don't want to get surgery, there's really not an option.
Gotcha.
So again, if you want advice out of that, listen to the people that are trying to help you. It's really kind of a thing.
How soon after the accident did you have that surgery?
Oh, it happened the week before indoors. I came back, so I still threw it indoors. It was terribly painful. I will never do that again.
Well, you still threw it outdoors. You still came back.
That's a different story. So I went, it happened that Monday, and the next day I was like, this hurts really bad. And the whole time I did not see the video of what happened. So I was like, this is a lateral sprain. So I'll be worst case, I'm back in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's bad, but I'll still push through. I'll be fine. And they go and do the tests on the high ankle, and I'm not feeling any pain. So I'm like, okay, I'm fine. There's just a little swelling up there. It was really still swollen, mostly down by the ball of my ankle, or in that, the end of the bone, or at the end of my fibular head. And there's a lot of swelling down there. So they kind of makes sense, but it just hurts, and it hurt like hell. It was really terrible. And so they put me in a boot. That whole week, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to push through it and build up scar tissue, and then go there. And I did not throw until warmups of that meet. And the warmup was terrible. It was really funny. But going into that meet, it was like, my trainer was like, your mind is very powerful. If you tell yourself to do something and you can kind of grit through it, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You just have warnings that go off and tell you not to. So if you can push through that, you're still going to throw. You can do it perfectly. And then, I didn't do well, but I ended up throwing and pushing through it. And I was really proud of myself for that. But, I get back the next week, and I think I had a doctor's appointment that Tuesday, and they were like, hey, you're going to get surgery. Or I got imaging the second I got back. Then they were like, doctor's appointment Tuesday, you're going to get surgery on Thursday. And I was like, okay, cool.
Oh, wow. Was Zeb supportive of you throwing in that meet, or kind of like holding off, or is it left it up to you?
I can't really remember. That's kind of a fever dream at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Gotcha.
That was like, I kind of told him, I think we talked about it briefly, and it was like, hey, we're going to still try. And he was like, cool. And he was like, I'm not going to force you to do this, but if you want, it was, it was a mutual decision.
Gotcha. So you go through that strenuous rehab. I think you actually come back to that conference meet, right? The Big 12 conference, and you win it on, and you just do one throw.
I threw for the first time, I think 3 days or 2 or 3 days before the meet. And then I took 2 or 3 throws, and then I was like, yep, we're done. And then I went to regionals, took 1 throw, and NCs, I took all of them.
Yeah. And you just let out the biggest scream I recall of all the videos and stuff. That's the greatest yell of Tripp Piperi, scream that you ever heard.
I'll get back to it. Don't worry. But yeah, that was all just kind of, I was on crutches for 5 weeks, and then 2 weeks before conference, I got off of them. So it was all just a big snowball effect. Of, was 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, you get through that. You get rehabbed. You're getting ready for your senior year. You kind of drop some weight. You come back from trials. What was the mindset coming into your last year of throwing, getting ready for the U.S. championships and even possibly the Worlds? What was the game plan?
So after Olympic trials, I was not happy.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be like, holy shit, you made it this far. Me being me, I was like, nope, that was not good. Coming into this season, I deconstructed all of my thought process. It was like, I just need to focus on what's important. So getting into indoors, I need to focus on indoor nationals. Going into outdoors, I need to focus on outdoor nationals. And then after that, go to, okay, we're going to go to USAs, and they're taking 4 people this year. We're getting top 4 no matter what. And then obviously I made Worlds, and that was, dream come true. Did what I wanted to do. That was the big goal, make Worlds. It's like we set it up. We were like, we're not going to focus on this, but the goal this year is to make Worlds. And I was like, cool, let's focus on everything before. Or he told me, let's focus on everything before, because I was like, we're making Worlds. But you got to take everything as it comes. You can't get ahead of yourself. And I think I did a good job this last year of kind of focusing on that aspect of it. But yeah, really, it was just take every meet as it comes, throw as far as you can, and do it when it matters. Yeah. So indoors didn't go the way I wanted it to. Obviously, God bless Turner, he did really well, and I'm hoping he does well this next year. And I'm actually glad he's throwing again. I was not happy that he told me he was not going to. I was like, you're stupid. But I'm hoping he does well and all that. But outdoors, I came out, I did what I did, and I'm proud of myself. And then USA's was like stress. I actually tore my I had a lot of injuries this year, which is
really?
A lot of things. Yeah, I had a lot of acute things. So I actually tore my bicep like a week before USA's.
Your right bicep?
My left one. So as you can see there,
wow,
shredded now. And it
How
happened.
How did you tear your left one?
Yeah, so it's from blocking. So when I blocked through, I tore it. And then, so I'm going into USA's, and the only thing I'm thinking of is I'm like, this is about to hurt really bad, and we're just gonna have to go for it. So you can actually see, like, if I have pictures, you can go look. Yeah. Maybe you'll be able to tell me.
Practice?
Yeah, it was in practice, and I was like, shit, that's not fun.
Oh wow.
And I had, I think before the LSU meet, before our outdoor conference, I always strain my pec minor. It happens all the time. So that happened, and it took about a week, and I was fine. I mean, it sucks, but another thing, if you get hurt, don't try to force it. Take the time to rehab it, and then I say ease in. I go harder than I should every single time. But like, listen to your body, and you'll get through it quicker, and listen to what people will tell you, how to fix it, all that stuff. But anyway, back to that. So when this happened, I was like, okay, we'll be good in a week, because it felt the same. I felt the tear, but I was like, okay, we're good. A week goes by, it's not better. I'm like, we throw at the end of this week.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I'm just like, well, we just got to do it now, because I'm not going to sit out. And so it ended up being worse, because I tore that. So this bottom head is still connected, but this top one isn't. This top one is, that's the end of it right there.
Oh,
so
wow.
I went into that meet, and at that point, I just, developed the tolerance to be able to be fine. But my arm was like swollen in that meet.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So are you planning on getting it fixed eventually?
No. Okay.
No.
It was great. I went and got imaging, and they're like, I mean, you could go get it meshed and be out for 3 months, or if it doesn't hurt, it's probably healed. And I was like, cool. Say less.
Probably. Yeah. Sure. So
Interesting.
overcome all those little nagging injuries.
Mhm.
You make the finals for the Worlds. That had to be an amazing accomplishment. We watched, and
Yeah.
the one thing I'll say about you, and I was gonna bring this up earlier, is I loved your mental approach, because I view you as nothing is too big for you.
Yeah.
Just around, do you have that mentality? Because I watch how Ryan speaks to you and Joe interacts with you, and you pass it, and Nick Pazio pats you on the back, and you got all these guys there, and they're kind of watching out for you a little bit, but you're just like, I'm here and I'm about to kick your ass mentality, but I appreciate the pat.
Yeah, it's one of those, I was the youngest person in that competition.
Hell yeah.
And so you get into it, it's an understanding of like, oh, he's just a little kid, But I've always gone into meets that 2019 is a great example of this. I went into that meet, and I remember waking up in the morning, and I was like, I don't know how today's gonna go, but I'm gonna go have fun. I'm just going, like, what's gonna do good for me being like, oh, I definitely shouldn't win. Like, I'm not gonna do well. And so I always tell myself, even when it's hard to convince that of happening, that I can do it. And there's only really been a couple times where I'm like, okay, I really probably won't. And that was later this summer when I was just beat down, tired, those last couple meets. But I was like, okay, I need to go here and just do well enough to make sure I look good for people.
Yeah.
Going in that meet, I'd worked all year for that. And so I was, my whole goal was even, first of all, make finals, obviously. Did that, 2 days later, I talked to coach. My goal from that point on is I want to get a medal. So I went into that meet, I went into the final, and my whole goal was to try to get third, which didn't happen. I was disappointed, but you look back at it now, and I look back and I'm older and be like, that was pretty crazy what I did. And,
it was.
I'll always cherish it. So it's good. And it really kickstarted my career professionally. And now I've got a really good base coming in next year, and I just got to keep pushing.
Gotcha. Is that kind of what says, okay, I'm going to go get agent? Because I think you just signed with Karen Locke, right? Your agent?
Yeah, so I signed with her like 2 days after nationals.
Okay, that's right. And great. How? Because we know about football agents and how that works. How does one get a track agent? I'm serious, because they're not like, is there a brochure? Is there a pamphlet?
Listen, these agents, especially in the the sprinting events and stuff like that, they know who you are in college, and if they want you, they will reach out to you.
Oh, they'll find you.
Yeah. Now you can reach out to some people. I know I had a friend that was doing it, and he spoke to other agents, and agents will take on most people. I mean, depending, obviously. I should clarify that they won't take on just anyone. Like, if you've done well, they will think about it and consider it and see if you're a good fit. Obviously, it's a business relationship. But at that point, my dad had been talking to Karen online for years.
Oh, okay.
So
he's asking all the right questions, right?
She is a great agent. I cannot speak highly enough of her. She is amazing at what she does, and me not signing with her would have been a foolish decision. So she gave me the offer, and she started sending me all the people's numbers, like, talk to them, tell them how I am. And I remember at one point I was on the phone, I was like, you don't have to sell me. I was like, I know you're good. She was like, oh, okay, I'm sending the documents. I was like, okay, cool. You don't need to. I was like, you don't need to have me talk to everybody. Like, I know I'll sign with you. You don't have to tell me twice.
Well, she was making sure everything was
covered.
No,
and she's really great. And agency and track is a little bit different from football, so that's a whole other subject. I don't even know all about yet, so I can't really speak on it.
You're learning.
So did she organize your trip to go to the Diamond League and walk us through that experience and those two meets basically in like a 3 or 4 day span? That had to be a pretty cool, like, you were like, I'm a professional thrower.
Yeah. So after Worlds, I was like, I had already decided I was going to do NACAC. And she was like, okay. I basically was like, cool, I'll be competing again in 3 weeks. And like the next Wednesday, I had taken a full week off after Worlds, and I was like just now starting up again. She texted me, she goes, "Got you into a meet in Memphis." I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "What?" Like, I thought
I didn't know this.
I talked about this. And so she goes, "Yep, got you in." And I was like, "Let me talk to my coach about it before we schedule anything." But basically, that's how it goes. She gets you like I could set my schedule for the next season, but it's tentative.
Yeah.
So when that happens, and I ended up going, and I was very happy I went. It was a great meet, and I did well.
Yeah, you think over 21.
Yeah, I did. It was a great meet. I was tired as hell, and I did good. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a big eye opener for me. But after NACAC, I didn't think I was going to get to go to Diamond League. I thought NACAC was going to be my last meet up until like 3 days before NACAC. And she goes, "Hey, I got you into Brussels." And I was like, "Oh, cool." She's like, "Yep." And then like it comes to like a week before the meet, and I saw on my flights, and I'm like, "Hey, should we schedule this?" And she goes, "Calm down." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then she goes, "Trying to get to another meet." I was like, "Okay." And like the next day later, she goes, "Got you into Italy the next day," or 3 days later. And I was like, "Okay, cool."
Oh, wow.
So she's very to the point, and I respect and appreciate that. But it's kind of funny at first. You're like, "Oh, okay, I'll shut up." And just kind of let her do her thing, and she's good at it. So she got me there, and she got me flights to the country, and I,
That's awesome.
very appreciative, very very
Did
appreciative.
your dad or your brother, did the family travel over there with you? How was that experience?
That was just me.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I was footing it. It was
he said,
cool.
"Don't
It was
go back to that."
honestly, I'm very blessed to be in a position where now I can call this my job and my profession, where I'm going to be
Yeah.
traveling, across the world. And that's a very cool thing to be able to say and be able to do. And I'm making enough money to survive. So, all of that combined, I'm very lucky. And looking back at it now, I'm like, okay, it's great, and I'll get to see a few things, but at the end of the day, it's still business. So when I got to Brussels, I think the day before, I walked around the park and said, "This is cool. I've gotten to see Brussels." And then I competed. And then I went to Italy, and we were in Padua. It's the same spelling, but different. They say it two ways, and that's the church. It's the same name as the church. And so I was like, I need to go see the basilica there. So I blocked out 2 hours and went and saw it, and then came back and hung out in the hotel room.
Oh, wow.
It's business.
It's business trip.
And you gotta be. You can make time to do stuff, and it's really cool to do that. But you're there to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you seek advice? And just to bring this up, because you practice and get to observe one of the greatest throwers / female throwers of our time, and Valerie Allman.
Yeah.
Do you seek advice from her? Do you kind of watch what she does, and I don't want to say copycat, but say, okay, she's doing it this way. Me being a professional, I need to kind of do it that way as well.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is there something you've observed from her that you kind of use on your own now, whether it's the note taking or anything like that, or the meditation that you talked about earlier? Is there something that you've kind of borrowed / stolen from her that you use in your training?
She's really good at counting her macros and nutrition. So I've tried to get mine better the last couple of years, and her sleep is impeccable, and I will never be that good, but I will try my best.
Wow.
She's sleeping.
That makes sense. So I'll ask her for
really?
advice, and when I'm going out of the country, or like when I'm new to a lot of this stuff, I'll ask her like, "Hey, what's the best thing for this?" Or when I was in college, it was a lot more competition stuff. Like, how do I look at it this way? And a lot of different, just a lot of different things. But it's never like I'm never really doing the same thing as her, because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her is different, and she does things that are a little harder than what I do sometimes, and sometimes I do things a little harder than what she does. But at the end of the day, like, we are still our own athletes, but it is nice to have her there. And it's nice to know that I'm going to go to meets this year and we're going to be together, and I'm, it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a fun time.
Awesome.
Oh,
And that's cool that you kind of got that a little bit of a team atmosphere in a professional wise that kind of you can carry with you, whether it's your coach or one of your colleague throwers / that you have support with, for sure.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
I'm going to back up. College, how did you manage your college hours? What's your degree in, and all of your throwing while you were at Texas?
I did I did communications, so corporate communications, and I did a grad program in strategic communications.
Okay, what do you do with that?
I don't know. That's a great question.
You become a professional thrower. That's what you do, right?
Yeah. I'm going to do some side work, but that's not all confirmed yet. That's kind of getting into it, but that I will be using a lot of my degree in that. It's, Yeah, so time management is important. If you go to college, you will find that out quickly. If you don't already know it, if you don't, I would work on it a little bit at least. Really, it's like you got to manage your time. You got to figure out when you can study. Some people value certain things more than others, and so I hate studying in all ways, shapes, and forms because it sucks. And but I still had to do it. So I still made sure that I'd go to class and I'd still make sure that I got my homework done. And I'd make sure I was ready for tests. And that's still kind of an important thing you have to do. You have to do it, or you're not going to compete. So there is a balance, but if you look at it kind of like, so say I don't do track and I go and join a fraternity and I'm still doing 20 hours a week of stuff with them, most people, like, you're still kind of taking the time where I would be doing track, and you're going to find other things to do with it. So if you're not doing track, you're still most likely going to find time or find something that's going to fill that time. And if you're not, then you're probably not having the most fun time in college, which some people just don't. That's cool, whatever. But people get into different things, and so like nobody's only ever just studying. I mean, some are. Sorry, again, everyone's situation is different, but
Yeah.
I'd say if I hadn't done track, I still would have done something, and I still would have had to manage my time. So it's really just time management. It's kind of the simple answer there.
Gotcha.
Well, I love you said numerous times about you have to figure out what you value, and that leads to that time management aspect that, if we're looking at advice for high school kids or whatever, even college, they have to figure out what that is, and where you put your time is what you value. And sometimes they are like, well, no, that's not important to me, really, because that's what you're doing all the time. So, figuring that out is, you've talked a lot about what you value, and I love that. That's good for kids to hear that. So.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Sorry, that's the high school teacher in me coming out. Sorry.
You're good.
Because I do lessons on this all the time. When I talk about time management, we talk about what you value, and we make them write down their time. And I'm like, you're on TikTok 23 hours out of the day. But it's not important to me. What?
Yeah, that's not.
Look at the facts here. So you tell me you want to be all this. Sorry. I
No, go.
He's gonna.
That makes sense. It does. It does make sense.
Couple questions. I know we kept you on for a long time, but any new sponsorships? Is there anything you want to promote that you've signed up with, or anything that you can share with us?
There's only the one thing. So if you go on my page, you'll see I'm with Momentous. It is a supplement company. A lot of supplements, if you decide to take them, they're not certified, so you don't know where those are being processed. You don't know what's actually in those cans because they're not FDA. None of it is subject to FDA inspections, so you really don't know what's in there. But so the one that I use is called Momentous, like I said earlier, and it's NSF certified, which is Safe Sport certified. So I can take it and not be stressed about taking it. So I get tested or drug tested all the time, and so I've got a partnership with them. And if you go on their website or their Instagram page is live.momentous, so live.momentus.
Okay.
You can use Tripp 15, so TRIPP 15 to get 15% off on everything. But I really just recommend stuff like that, and it does taste good. It's cool. They've got a lot of different products in there. You can check it out if the kids are watching. You guys use my code, send me money.
Yes.
Link. I have an actual landing page, so if you go in my bio on Instagram, you can copy that link in there, and you can just send that there, and it's much easier.
Okay.
But really though, like, it's, you want to get good at this stuff, and this is really to a lot of high schools. You need to really pay attention to what you're putting in your body, and it's very important, and it's kind of scary how important it is. So I get tested by USATF. I'm on the random testing pool, so I have to send in calendars of where I'm at every day, every quarter of the year. And I can't leave my apartment, or I can't leave the city of Austin. I can leave my apartment. It's not that strict, but if I leave Austin or I go home, I need to, update them on my calendar and let them know that's where I'm going to be. So, because if they come and test me and I'm not there, I get a missed test. Oh, wow. And the amount of things on that list that, you can get banned for is shocking. So, if you're out there taking, I know C4 now is apparently safe now. I don't trust it, because 2 years ago, that stuff was not okay to take. But a lot of these popular things, they don't have any certification. They don't go through, they don't have a third party come in and test their products and make sure that it's safe to consume. So having that, NSF certification on Momentus's products, it's huge. It really it gives me confidence to know that, okay, it's hard to eat as much as I have to. So being able to, take a protein shake, get some creatine in, they have vitamins and stuff. Everything on there is certified to be safe, which is huge. And it also, it's a good product. They've done a lot of good work. My trainer at Texas, he loves it. He's the one who got me into it.
Awesome.
And I definitely highly recommend it. Again, that 50% off is big because it is more expensive because of that certification. But if you guys are interested, I definitely recommend trying it out.
And it was Tripp 15 to get was the code.
Yeah. TRIPP 15.
Okay.
You can go to checkout, or you can go on my link in my bio, and it'll immediately apply that. I'm pretty sure. Don't count me on that. Still probably put it in just in case, but to my knowledge, it's already invested in that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And then my Instagram for, I'm sure y'all will put it in the bio, but my Instagram name is at Piperi44. So PIPTRIPERI 44.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Do you think you'll 2024, 2028, how long do you foresee you kind of going down the road of throwing and stuff? I know that's kind of a very subjective question.
As long as I can.
Long as you can.
I
Awesome.
don't want to work at a desk, so we're gonna keep doing this.
Good, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, dude, because we need more throwers like you. And the cool thing about, dude, you've made throwing cool, whether you recognize it or not. And there's a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids that look up to you, want to be like you, because you're there. They don't see you as a biggest light. You're not 6'9". You're a realistic guy that they see on every day. And you're like, if he can do it, there's a chance that I could go do it. And I think they can relate to you. And I think they like the emotion that you bring to throwing for sure. So
so I really do appreciate that, because a lot of what I do is to inspire. I want to make this sport bigger, and I don't know if you guys look at the metrics of track and field, but it's the fastest growing high school sport, and I'm really glad that I'm a part of that. So
yeah,
to all the kids out there, keep doing it. Tell your friends, get your parents to buy Peacock accounts so you can watch the meets. I don't know why.
Exactly.
I don't know why the marketing of these meets is so bad, but we're actually working on that. Little insight, every year USATF is actually doing a really good job at trying to fix a lot of things that I'm sure that a lot of people have noticed, and they fixed a lot of things, especially for the athletes. So hopefully eventually we can get ourselves on public TV, which is a shocking thing to want and not have.
Yeah, and I'll ask
professional worldwide sport where when you go to Europe they love you.
Yes.
Well, you went to the meet in Tennessee, and that meet was televised on ESPN, but it was only for 40 minutes, and they didn't even show the throwing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of issues with how I think they film track meets, and that's not really a track. So the person who runs that was an ATL meet. It wasn't USATF. It's an ATL meet. Paul Doyle, he's done a really good job at building up that franchise, or that line of meets, whatever you want to call it. He's done a great job. And the meet was ran really well. It was a great meet. Everything there was cool, and it was televised. But again, I think getting the word out is hard, and it's almost I have to start doing it, which I haven't, and that's my fault. But I need to start putting word out, and I think everybody does. But we need to get better on that. You shouldn't be able to go watch badminton on ESPN and not be able to watch track for free. I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Or pickleball.
Yeah, there's so many things that I don't agree with, and I could go on this for a long time. It actually makes me mad. I'm over here okay, we've got the highest growing high school sport, but there's a massive disconnect in media consumption for it, and adults not wanting to watch it. And fair, you're gonna watch what you want to watch, but at the end of the day, I'm sure I'd rather watch track and field than bowling. And golf is not very exciting in my opinion. But
our TV is on track and field all the time. It's on repeat. Every meet,
every play.
And you pay dearly for that privilege. So
play over and over.
Yeah, I've probably seen I've seen you qualify for the US and the world probably 8 times in the last month.
If nothing
thank
else
you.
is on.
I wish I could do monetization for it.
Oh, dude, you're it's right. I love your technique. I love everything about you. I love your energy. I'm a big fan. My kids, we really support you. We're big fans of Zeb and what y'all got going on. Man, keep it up, dude. And also wish your brother the best too. Oh,
you got brother and sister all there in Austin. Do y'all get to spend a lot of time together? Sounds like, family's pretty big.
Yeah. We've
How's that gonna be?
It's cool. And it's very rare this type of thing happens. So we are able to see each other quite a bit, which is nice.
Yeah.
cool, man.
And
Cool.
little sister has 2 big brothers right there to take care of her. She
Yeah.
doesn't need trouble, right?
Yeah.
Or bad, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, keep in touch. It's really
We will.
cool. I'll see what I can do in the future. Hopefully it works out.
Dude, 2028, you're gonna win a gold medal.
That's my goal. Hopefully I can do a little bit of
2028.
silver. Yeah.
Ron's gonna be retired. He's gonna have kids living in Arkansas. Wife's gonna be a doctor.
He'll go to 28. I'm pretty sure. If Kovacs is going this far, he'll go to 28. There's no reason for him not to. He's making, a large amount of money just throwing rocks. I'd do it too.
Yeah.
Until I break.
Yeah, it's who
But,
can hold up
him-
the longest.
The good thing for this next year is going into it, that third spot is pretty open, depending on
Yeah.
how Tunde shows up and how I grow and everybody else. That the third spot is still very much up for grabs. So I'm really going to be
Yeah.
pushing for it all this year.
And just like you said earlier, you are the youngest. So
I've got a lot of time to get good. The peak, if you look at the analytics, the peak age is 28 to 32. So I've got some time.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. And
Yeah,
dude,
we'll see.
23, 24, man, it's there. So
I'll,
for sure.
hopefully I can do what everybody wants me to do or hopes that I can do. I hope I can live up to that. So
You will.
Yeah.
You will. Dude, you're a legend. You're a legend. So
Yeah.
all right, man. We'll see you at Texas Relays. Good luck, man.
Thank you guys.
Get
Have a great-
healthy.
Yeah, I will. Have a great evening.
Appreciate it. Y'all do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we on?
We're
Yes,
on.
we're on. We'd like to thank Tripp for being on. Just tremendous guidance and also just a deep look into his thoughts and perspective as his throwing career and how he looks at recruiting and in his high school career and being a professional thrower. It's just a really tremendous that he's just climbed the ladder of success from, throwing as far as he did his freshman year to being a professional now and, making the finals at, some of the biggest meet, throwing in this first Diamond League meet. But what I go back to is it's really kind of, tickles me a little bit that he kind of started with the private club coach. Coach Rod kind of helped him and laid the foundation, and his dad drove him and his brother there twice a week to kind of learn the rotation and that, and I'm sure there's a lot of fundamentals that Coach Rod laid with Tripp, as a youth that he still uses today, which is pretty cool. And also too, being around a high school coach that was really loved throwing and was invested in throwing and invested in Tripp. And, it goes to show you too, throwing can be very isolated support, but I think there's no other sport or competition where the coach and the athlete camaraderie, the bond, might be greater than any other sport. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's even true through Tripp and Zeb now in their relationship and how that's cultivated and how he's going to carry, Tripp through his professional career as well. Tripp's he loves to throw, and I think it's always been there inside of him. If you've ever heard it's meant to be for that person, it's meant to be. I think throwing was meant to be for Tripp.
You said, around people that support you. Talked about being that village. He found people even for in high school. I mean, a great high school coach, great family who took him where he needed, and then just friends that sacrificed like he did in whatever sport they were to focus on their working out and just, and other kids could have been doing other things. He was hanging out at the gym with his friends and lifting weights and doing those things and finding the right people to help get him to where he is. He's, like you said, he could have talked forever about all the people that helped him and talked to him and supported him that he can get advice from. Right now, even back to Adam Nelson, who we went to a camp in
Georgia,
8th grade.
In Reese Hoffa.
Yeah. So just just great story, and just so, like I said, a good close throwing family. And I'm just excited about what he's going to do and help get throwing out there more.
Yeah,
I mean, good old Texas boy throwing at Texas, and
now he's on the big stage and a professional. So
awesome.
we're hoping 2024, 2028. You know, he's on the stand and getting a medal for sure. So just a great guy, and he's worked his butt to get off from there. Had some perseverance too.
Oh, yeah,
the injuries, the
that
bicep.
Oh.
You know, it's just goes to show you. You might get knocked down. You might just get knocked down on a knee. You might get your whole body knocked down, but you got to get up. You know, you got to get up, and he's definitely done that. And we overlooked the two-time national champions that he won in college, and didn't go into great detail of his college career. But just I want to reiterate, PR 2174 indoor, college PR outdoor 2157. Two-time All-American, numerous Big 12 titles, not two-time All-American, two-time national champions, holds a school record, which was, he broke Ryan Krauser's record. You know, he is a Texas legend, Texas high school legend, and I'm sure he's going to
not have a hammer.
I would know hammer PR.
Or weight, what was it, the weight?
Yeah, for sure. So Tripp, thank y'all. We'll see y'all down the road.
All right, we want to thank Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Go ttfca.org for all the latest news in track and field. Indoor meets posted, clinic coming up. January will be here before we know it. So come listen to all the amazing speakers they have lined up for that. Fourthrows.com, call the implements price right. Use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. It's starting to feel a little fallish around here, a little cooler. If anything, it gets dark earlier, so you can stick that quarter circle in your garage with some light, get lots of reps in. Ready Up Athletic Development, if you're in the Austin area, go to Ready Up AD. Check out what Zach Phillips has going on. Check out his program. I said check out a lot, sorry. In Train Heroic, his basic throw strength program that he has there, and use the code THROWS10 and you'll get 20% off of that program. I actually looked at it the other day. It's really just some great stuff that he's put together for young throwers. And then
hello, Talking Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the Fiber Sport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow-plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your Fiber Sport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new Fiber Sport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason and Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talk and Throws Texas Style.
Then the Throne Factory, when you're looking for lessons, I'm about to say check this out. Check this out.
Or if you want to go shopping on the shopping page, you know, we have some cool apparel, sweatshirts, new zip-up jackets, fleece track suits that are pretty warm. For moms, dads, there's even stuff on there for lifting FW, but there's also shirts and long sleeve shirts for the podcast. West at the Thorn Factory has apparel on there. East at the Thorn Factory has apparel on there as well. So all of it's discounted, and it goes to a good cause. So if you go purchase it, please do. And we'll use the money in the right direction, giving it back into the program as well. And then also go ahead.
Hang on. I'll say youth throwing. If you are looking to any lessons in anything, but started doing some lessons with some kids introducing the discus, and I have a lot of fun doing that because it's, you know, something you don't do. You didn't pick up and throw you may have thrown Cheerios. Who is it? John Tipton.
Yeah.
But you didn't throw anything you throw a discus. So that learning process with that, it's a skill that can be taught. So come on out. I'd love to do some discus work with you.
Please do.
Or shot put or.
Yeah. And then lifting DFW, we are selling those trailers. I'm doing private lessons now for Olympic lifting. So if you're a high school athlete, and you don't have to be a thrower, you can be a baseball player, you can be a golfer, you can be a swimmer, you could be, in the drama, and you're just looking to get fit. You could be a mom looking to lose some weight. Whatever it may be, reach out to me. Go to that website, Lifting DFW, and we can set up a program to get you where you want to be emotionally and physically to be your best self. And then fiber sports discus as well. So.
All right, thanks, guys. I was about to